Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and advocates of sustainability, welcome to this insightful panel discussion on Beyond Single Use, the rise of reusable carrier bags and customer loyalty in retail. Today we gather to explore a pivotal shift in consumer behavior and its profound implications for both the retail industry and our planet. The impact of single-use plastic bags on our environment cannot be overstated, from clogging waterways to harming wildlife and contributing to the alarming rise in plastic pollution. These disposable carriers have left an indelible mark on our ecosystem. As we stand at the crossroads of environmental crisis, the urgency to address the ecological toll of single-use bags has catalyzed a global movement towards more sustainable alternatives. Our distinguished panelists, expert in environmental sustainability, retail strategies, and consumer behavior, will guide us through an exploration of the multifaceted dimensions of this transition. We will delve into the environmental consequences of single-use plastic, examining how the adoption of reusable carrier bags can mitigate these challenges. By understanding the intricate web of ecological interdependence, we hope to shed light on the imperative for retailers to play a pivotal role in the reduction of plastics waste. So let's to kick off with, if you can please, the panelists, if you can all each introduce yourselves and explain what your business is.
I'm Seneca Kadam from Oshaya Group. We are a multinational retail company, a family-owned retail company based in the Middle East, Northern Africa, Eastern Europe, and the UK. We operate retail brands that you're familiar with from the US. We cover the 17 countries in our geography, and we have over 50,000 employees.
Hi, nice to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. So my name is Monique Bessan. I am the CEO and founder of Waste2Wear. Waste2Wear is a company which makes innovative textile products from recycled plastics. Not only from plastics like plastic bottles, but also from the inside of your refrigerator, your washing machine, and a combination with food containers. That last part, from that type of plastics, is polypropylene. We are making shopping bags, reusable shopping bags. And that is part how we got in contact with the Oshaya Group.
Hi, thank you. My name is Derek Mack. I'm founder and CEO of 99 Bridges. 99 Bridges is a technology company based in California. Our mission is to create technology solutions to enable and accelerate the transition to a circular economy. In our case, what that means is that we are using technologies, both software, hardware, to create solutions that enable the tracking of reusable items in the full life cycle, a full circular cycle. And we think that is very important, and I will talk a little bit about that later. So in 2021, we participated in a global competition funded by 3 of the largest retail brands in the US. And they were looking for a solution to retire, to eliminate single-use plastic bags. And we were one of the lucky winners and enable us to deploy our solution in the US, in UK, and in Canada. Now we have expanded also to our platform to support reusable and refillable bottles and drinking cups. So I'm excited to be here to share our experience with you today.
And we're excited to hear about what all of you have to say. I'm an environmentalist, and I'm on the ground. I see actually the impact of single use. I see it in my country, and the sooner we get rid of single-use plastics, the better. Let me start first. First question to Seneca. How have consumer attitudes towards single-use carrier bags changed in recent years, and what impact has it had on the retail sector?
When you look at carrier bags globally and what's happening globally, you'll see across many countries in the world, they've started banning single-use carrier bags, specifically those bags that you get at the grocery store, but more frequently now, the bags that you see in the mall from shops like ours. However, in this part of the world, it's been a bit slower. So we're just now seeing those changes come to the Middle East. And there have been laws, especially here in UAE, that have been implemented. I think probably one of the quickest one was in Abu Dhabi, where they banned single-use bags in Abu Dhabi in grocery stores, which is very, very successful. And what's interesting is that in the UAE, we see customers adopting these changes. And there's not too much resistance to it. There, of course, will be, but there's not too much. And this leadership has caused other countries in the GCC to adopt similar laws. So we're seeing that spread to Bahrain, Qatar. We're seeing it all across the GCC. So I think that for customers, it's becoming more common. And because our customers are coming from everywhere, and many of the expats are coming from Europe or the US, and because the locals travel a lot to Europe and the US, they're becoming more familiar with it. And I think they're more receptive to the idea than probably they would have been maybe 5 years before.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite true, because even in the Arab world, I mean, maybe the GCC has been behind, but, you know, Morocco and Tunisia have actually been pioneers in banning single-use plastic, and specifically certain countries in East Africa, like Kenya, and so, yeah, exactly. So my next question to Monique. What are the environmental benefits of reusable bags, and how can they be communicated to consumers as part of a brand's innovative strategy?
Recycled reusable bags as a strategy for brands, they can be used as a part of their ESGs. So a part of reaching your ESG, brands can use recycled bags and communicate to their consumers how much actually the consumer can actively participate if they are using and reusing a recycled bag. A recycled polypropylene bag that we are providing is actually giving a reduction in carbon footprint and in water and in energy use compared to a virgin equivalent of about 80%. So that is an enormous impact. So what is essential is that that is communicated in the right way. So we have a complete tracking system from the start of the feedstock throughout the whole supply chain that you can follow with a QR code and a barcode, which is scannable by the consumer and by the brands, where it is being, where the waste is coming from, how much waste is being used to make this bag, what is the environmental impact of that exact bag compared to the virgin equivalent. An environmental impact report is provided through that QR code. And then last but not least, a film, which is of course saying more than 1,000 words, because when you see the whole process and it becomes very clear to a consumer that you can actually make a bag out of a recycled product, it's more speaking to them to use it. So marketing technical, this is very good for brands to communicate, and clients, for consumers, can really feel that they actively have an impact of using a bag made from recycled material and reusing that again. So just compared very short to round it off, if you compare a single-use paper bag compared to a recycled polypropylene bag, the carbon footprint impact of when you use a recycled bag 2 times is already more and better than, it's already much better than a single-use paper bag. And when you know that the studies have shown that about a reusable bag is being used about 14 times on average in a life cycle, the carbon reduction when you use a reusable bag compared to even a paper bag is enormous.
Yeah. So, which takes us. Since we're talking about reusable bags, it takes us to a question to Derek. If you can, since we want to understand more about the technology. So, what innovative strategies can retailers employ to encourage customers to switch to reusable bags?
I think we're going to need all day. First of all, I love that 14 times. Okay, so only if you can track it. Otherwise, you don't see it, right? So I think if we take a step back, right, and think about the ultimate objective of why we want to retire or remove single-use plastic bag from retail. A single-use plastic bag may take over 1,000 years to decompose. The world is using 5 trillion single-use plastic bags a year. It is bad for the environment, it is polluting our ocean, it is all bad. But I would submit, if we are only replacing the single-use plastic bag with a reusable bag, without helping the society transition to a reuse culture, we are trading one problem with a much bigger problem down the road. So my hope is to, through the work that we're doing, along with the companies like Monique's company, we can create a closed-loop system that enable that reuse. And if you think about reuse, it is not easy. It's not in our DNA, right? How many times you go to shopping, you know your bag is in your car, but it's too late by the time you're already in the shop. And you just forgot it, right? So how do we make it easy for consumers to reuse the bag? And that needs to be think through carefully. And so let me actually give you a couple of approaches, and I want to see a show of hands which approach you think has a better chance of success, okay? So approach number 1 is you appeal to people's desire to do good, okay? So you tell your customers, so every time you reuse your reusable bag, you are offsetting X amount of carbon into the environment, and if everybody does it, it's a very meaningful impact, okay? So that's approach number 1. And approach number 2 is you tell your customers every time you reuse the reusable bag, you're earning X amount of reward points, and you're appealing to the consumer's wallet, okay? So let me see a show of hands. Which, number one, okay, appeal to people's desire to do good. Number 2, and okay, so here lies the trick for the design of this transition, right? So we need to think about how do we use this to help nudge the society to move into reuse. And the way we do that is we put a smart tag into all the reusable bags. So every single one of them now becomes individually trackable. And now you enable the consumer to have a registration with the bags. And now you have a digital connection. And this becomes really, really important because now you can track your 14 times, right? That maybe they get a big prize when they get to 14, right? So you can use that digital connection. Now it's a new channel for you to connect with the customer, to drive customer loyalty, to shape the whole journey of how you want to transition them into a reuse culture. That is a huge opportunity that doesn't exist yet. So I would say the first mover will actually get the upper hand and have a significant advantage. So if you think about companies like the company who figure out video streaming, the company who figure out music bundle, social media, these companies continue to have the biggest followers, right? And they continue to drive in the respective categories, and everybody else is following. So I think, long answer to your question, the opportunity is here. We need to take this opportunity and make that transition, and really think about not just replacing one thing with the other, but moving the society towards reuse.
Okay, I want to quickly add something, because I agree replacing one problem with the other is not the solution. And I love the fact that after having a full traceability of the journey to make a recycled product and the impact of a recycled bag compared to a virgin, at a certain moment, even that may be calculated by your way 14 times and have 14 points or a big prize, at a certain moment that bag maybe is dirty or gets broken or whatever. And then you do need to get rid of that bag. So we are now doing the first pilot test, and I love the fact that first movers will be the ones to follow. So I hope that we are together with the El Shaya group, the first movers here to follow. Is a test to retake the bags back and then put them in a facility to recycle them again. So we have done trials of 2 years to know how to create bags again out of old bags, and we are going to do the first test with the Shaya group soon. So in that case, the problem will not be replaced by a bigger one. So I think that's how we really, and I'm very, very happy with this collaboration to do that.
Just to recap, maybe I didn't hear correctly. So you're using old bags to make new ones.
Yes.
That's your pilot now.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so that leads us to the fourth question. And I mean, it's just because there's cost implications here. So this is a question directed to all the panelists. How can retailers balance the cost implications of transitioning to reusable bags while maintaining profitability? This is the $1 million question.
There's a couple ways to do that. In the UAE, they've made it a bit easy because or in Dubai actually, they've added a cost. So there's a cost for the bags that can offset the cost of the manufacturing costs. But really, let's forget about that. We have to do something different. So I think to offset that cost, it's just build into your current budget. Build it into your current budget. So you're already buying bags. Allocate some of that amount that you're already allocated. Allocate that to reusable. But to do that also, you need to make sure that your staff is trained on asking people if they need a bag. So that's the first bit. You need to train your staff to reduce the number of bags that go out. And in most cases, if you're already carrying a bag, I know for me, I don't want another bag. I just want to put it in a bag that I already have. So asking the customers that question will automatically reduce the number of bags that you need. Then use that differential and apply that to the reusable bags. So have a small stock of reusable bags, and then progressively make that stock bigger. So we're not expanding the budget, we're keeping the same budget, we're just allocating the budget a little bit differently. And I think that's one, easy way. And another way to think about reusable bags is that reusable bags act as marketing. And they act as marketing more so than your single-use bag, because your reusable bag is going to go someplace that your single-use bag isn't going to go. It's going to go to the gym, it's going to go on a picnic at the beach. It's going to go a lot of places that a single-use bag isn't going to go. So if you allocate some of your marketing budget, that you already have that money there, and you can allocate some of that budget to the reusable bags. Again, you're not expanding your costs. You're keeping the costs exactly the same. You're just reallocating it a little bit differently.
Yeah, I totally agree with to reallocating current existing costs, and we know from experience the power of having a QR code on your bag, which you can communicate with your clients even after they are leaving the shop. So another point to get more reduction in cost, so that the impact of a reusable bag is not as big as a single-use bag, is that we are working on calculating the effort into plastic credits. So with our new chance or new pilot to make from reusable bags, make again new bags in our factory that we are now setting up, you create additionality. And when you have additionality, you can apply for plastic credits. So that is also a way in the future. We are not there yet, but the first steps are made. That's a way in the future to actually set off these costs and maybe even earn.
Yeah, so I think I would say that unfortunately sustainability is not free because it requires extra effort, right? And there are more steps, there's more work in the whole process. But then recycle is not free either. It's expensive. Why do it? I think that is part of the humanity progression, right? So I think the entire reuse cycle will come, and it will balance out over a longer stretch. But there are a couple of things that I think is important to think about when we look at the cost balance, right? So one is, you just talk a little bit about that, is that when you start to have that reuse cycle comes in, your overall volume will start to, the purchasing brand new bags will come down, and there's a reuse cycle kicking in. So that will partly offset the cost of buying virgin bags, right? And then the other one is, if you now employ the customer loyalty program, the coupons, the reward points, customers rarely come back to your store and just use those points, right? They're buying something more. So this is very tangible that you can measure how you're linking that loyalty points to customer purchasing more in your store. So these two elements will help you offset the cost, and maybe over time even help you gain more revenues. But I would caution that you have to be patient. So there was a well-documented study in the UK. A large retail brand have done this for a year. And their conclusion basically is that if you are not committed, and your customer will sense it, and they're not going to adopt, they don't want to waste the time. So you need to think big scale and execute in phases.
I'm conscious of maybe I missed some of your answer, but what you said in the end is quite interesting, that the customer can spot the lack of commitment, or let's say, or greenwashing, right? That's your, I think that's your conclusion. Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement, because now, I mean, you know, you can't hide anything. Thanks to social media, activists, young people will spot any time when there's like a lack of commitment from a brand. So I'll just go to my final question, and it's directed to everybody here as well. So looking ahead, what emerging trends do you foresee in sustainable packaging, and how should retailers prepare for these changes?
Well, laws are changing. Laws are changing really fast. They're, especially in this region. I mean, we would never have thought 3 years ago that we would be going into a single-use ban where we'd have to change the way that we do everything. So we do have to stay kind of ahead of the game and ahead of the legislation. We, as Oshaya Group, we're looking at as many technologies as we can find to create packaging of new materials, like we're doing with Waste to Wear, and then how to get those materials out to our customers. So in terms of packaging, it really is about seeking out the technology, because we don't necessarily have all of the technology in this part of the world, but we need to really look for the technology, bring the technology in to identify new materials and new ways to get things to our customers, these materials to our customers.
Yeah, the world is changing indeed, luckily, I would say, and I'm very happy, and also I agree that in the UAE it happened very quick overnight. So we've been working mainly in Europe, and in Europe to before this, and in Europe the legislation is also changing rapidly. Maybe it took longer, and then now it's there, and the UAE didn't have that start and just started immediately. But the EPR rules, which forces every brand and every retailer to prove where your goods are coming from, the plastic taxes which are imposed, and also the product passport, which is coming in place in 2025, is driving not only companies in Europe, but global companies who want to sell in Europe, which has effect over the rest of the world, also the big brands here, to really show where things are coming from. So therefore, on our bags, you have the QR codes when you can really see, as good as with Google Maps, you see the spots where the geolocation, where the waste is coming from, the geolocation, where it's been produced into yarn or into non-woven fabric, and when they're, in this case, bags are being made. So also trace and track the whole social compliance of a supply chain. And I think it's very important for brands and retailers to be transparent and to be compliant in your, and so to show very openly where things are coming from and how things are made and what the impact is throughout the whole supply chain, because that is actually where the world is going to, and rightly so.
So I think the material science and the recycled content is going to be, we'll continue to see innovation in the coming years, right? Which is going to be, is good. But I will continue to say that without pushing or nudging the society towards a reuse culture in a closed loop system, we could potentially just trading one problem with the next. So I will offer a couple observations in terms of thinking through this transition. Number one, and Seneca talked a little bit about that earlier, is the business model, right? So if you don't have a sustainable business model, it's not going to happen. So first of all, it's really focusing on making that sustainable business model. And where is your reuse budget today, and how are you going to deploy it? And if you don't have a plan to deploy that budget, most likely your finance department would zero it out. And I've seen that time and again. So very important. The first piece is that whole business model, right? The budget. So it will help you springboard you into the next phase of that transition. The second is, at the beginning of that transition, who are you going to market to and where? The demographics really matters here. So who are the people that will help lead the pace and the rest of them follow? And this is really important. And we, initially, when we first started in the US, we missed the mark on that, right? And thinking that everybody is going to come along. No, so it's important. The final thought I have is on this is we are trying to change the behavior of the masses, right? And which is not easy. So I recently read a book written by an American author, James Clear. The title of the book is Atomic Habit. So there are 4 elements in the habit, in changing somebody's habit. Right? Number 1, you have to make it obvious. So in the context of a retail bag, you have to make it so obvious at the checkout point, this is the right choice, right? And second, you have to make it attractive. So that's your job, to make it emotionally attractive to the customer. And third is that whole experience, make it easy. So that entire experience has to be easy. And finally, make it satisfying, which is the rewarding part of it. So instant satisfaction of winning, right? So that's the last part of that. So I think we're in an inflection point right now, that the opportunity is here for the retail brands to really take it to the next level and align the brand to the next generation, where the newer generation expects company to care about the planet. And I think our job is to leave the world a better place.
Yeah, I mean, as the audience said, it's imperative to do the right thing at the end of the day. And so I just want to summarize some of the key things we talked about. So, as we mentioned, society is changing, consumers are changing. There is an appetite, even though our assumption is that there isn't. But it's key to nudge people further. And you know, and they always say, in terms of, if you want to see societal change in terms of a cause, you need 3 to 5% of society to be on board, and then you will see a change and hit that critical mass. But it's also, you mentioned the importance of technology. I think that makes it easier now. This is available to us to reduce some of it, to like tackle some of these problems and encourage the culture of reuse. Thank you very much all for a very insightful discussion. And we look forward to using your bags and tracing and tracking your bags as well. Thank you.